Prince Randian was born in British Guyana in 1871. He suffered from tetraamelia syndrome, an autosomal congenital disease that causes children to be born without limbs. There is a mutation in one of the genes. Randian has managed to take place in life. Such stories are always inspiring. After all, even if people in a similar situation can achieve success with their work, so what about us? Randian could beg and push for pity, but he chose a different path. Nowadays, tetraamelia syndrome has been reported in only a few families around the world. According to a 2011 study by Bermeo Sanchez, amelia, that is, the absence of one or more limbs, occurs in about 1 out of every 71,000 pregnancies. Our most popular contemporary with a similar disease is Nick Vujicic, a man who overcame difficulties and became an excellent speaker and actor. His fellow sufferer Randian was also able to settle into life. Prince is a stage name that has caught on. Despite his unusual appearance, Randian lived a surprisingly normal life. Even before the start of his career, he married his girlfriend, an Indian woman. She was nicknamed Princess Sarah. They will have 4 children. The actors of the freak show. Randian is at the bottom, to the right of the stool. Even though Prince Randian was born without arms and legs, he used other abilities to become unique. This man did not just fail to follow the path of least resistance. On the contrary, he was constantly learning new things and overcoming difficulties. It was usually worn by an assistant. However, Prince Randian could move on his own, rolling or sliding on his stomach. He could shave by attaching a razor to a wooden handle. He liked to draw with his brush between his lips. And surprisingly, he was a good carpenter. Moreover, he was a very cultured man, intelligent and polite. Prince Randian was fluent in 4 languages: Hindi, English, French, and German. In addition, Prince Randian had a witty sense of humor and was incredibly charming. A career that brought in millions. In 1889, while traveling abroad, the American showman Barnum met Prince Randian. Impressed by how the young man managed to overcome his illness, Barnum brought 18-year-old Randian to the United States to work on his famous show. Randian has developed his own cultural program. Like most of the artists of the Freaks show, he had to do the usual things for an ordinary person. But given its peculiarities, it looked interesting. The actor has worked hard on charisma and presentation. The audience was delighted. They were not interested in the ugliness, but in the positive character himself. Randian could roll a cigarette using only his mouth and then light it with a match. Holding a match and a cigarette between his teeth, he struck a match and then held the cigarette close enough to the flame so that it caught fire. Then he inhaled and blew out the match along with the cigarette smoke. It was this trick that made him famous. During performances, he wore woolen clothes that covered his torso. This allowed him to take on the appearance of a worm, potato, or snake when he wriggled on stage during a performance. A one-piece woolen robe clung tightly to his body, and he moved around the stage, swaying his hips and shoulders. Along with performing in cities, he also toured with Barnum's traveling circus. Prince Randian and his wife. He kept all the props and materials used in his performance in a wooden box, which, according to rumors, he built himself, painted and attached a lock to it. The audience paid not only to watch Prince Randian, but also to see him perform. Despite the fact that he was born back in the 19th century, his famous trick of twisting and then lighting cigarettes with just his lips went down in the history of cinema. He performed it for the movie Freaks, 1932, and you can see it right now. After more than 40 years of performing, Randian died on December 19, 1934, of a heart attack just hours after his last performance. He was 63 years old.